James stayed quiet that night. He wanted to talk to Edward about his problem, but the ordeal from earlier made him scared to do so, out of fear that Edward would ignore him as well. James didn't say anything the next day either. Anytime he saw an engine from the main line, he would look away, determined not to acknowledge them. After a few days of this, Edward began to take notice of James's unusual behavior and wondered what the problem was. He decided to ask James about it that night.
"Good evening, James," smiled the old engine. "Hi, Edward," replied James hastily, his eyes still facing away. "Is something the matter, James?" asked Edward. James tried to think up an excuse. "It's all right, I won't be mad," comforted Edward. "Please, James, what's upsetting you?" And James began to cry, telling Edward everything that had happened over the past few days. "And I just don't think they consider me their friend anymore," finished James through tear-filled eyes. "Oh my," said Edward. "I'm sorry you had to experience that, James. Is there anything I can do for you?" "Just keep the others away from me until they realize their mistakes," replied James firmly. "Now, James," began Edward, "I know you're upset at the others because they didn't acknowledge you. But if they didn't know what they did was wrong, how can you expect them to apologize to you? You'll have to talk to all of them about what made you upset." "But I can't do that," exclaimed James. "What if they all laugh at me or say I'm being too sensitive? Or what if they just lie to get me out of trouble?" "And what if they don't do any of that?" asked Edward. "What makes you so confident?" retorted James. "Because I know those engines well enough to know that they'll say sorry about it and be honest, James," replied Edward. "But if they don't, they're not your friends, plain and simple. Why bother spending time with engines that just make you feel more alone than when you're by yourself?" James hesitated and thought for a moment. "I suppose you do have a point, Edward," he admitted. "But if they do laugh, then I'll be here for you, James," smiled Edward reassuringly. And for the first time in nearly a week, James managed a little smile. "Oh, thank you, Edward," he said, sounding just a bit happier. "You're welcome, James," replied the old engine. "Now go and get some sleep. You've had a long day." And soon James was fast asleep, leaving Edward to wonder if the others would actually apologize or not.